first of all, I'm just so thrilled that all of you were able to take time out of what I know is a very, very busy weekend to be here. It's a privilege to have each and every one of you here, and we get to be privileged in return because we have some exceptional talent, some really remarkable artists who've agreed to be part of this evening and add their poetry and their music to a night of visual art and graphic design. So the first person we have performing tonight is Ellen Carpenter, and you're playing the
Penderecki Capriccio for solo tuba.
Penderecki Capriccio for solo tuba. I'm going to let Ellen take it away. Thank you so much for being here. Ellen is a master's student at LSU, so he studies under Joseph Skillen at the LSU School of Music.
He just found out 3 hours ago that he was going to be playing this. So
yes.
Big shout out to Alan.
All right.
Say some amazing words and play some decent music and some amazing music. It should be fantastic. A shameless plug on Alan, who has his recital coming up on April 17th. He's at LSU. If any of you guys are local, check him out. It should be fantastic, some fun stuff. We had a little bit of problems when we were putting together this little musical selection in that I play the tuba, and the repertoire is a little bit stunted, but I chose to go with an even weirder piece. I chose to go with a piece by Anne McGinty. It's called Naked Tuba, a little bit strange. It was written for my mentor. I study at USC right now, and it's essentially a piece about raw emotion. There's nothing else to it. It can't start a program, it can't end a program, it has no beginning, there's no real end. It's just an expression of how frustrating it is sometimes to play the instrument that we play and trying to get that emotion out into the audience. So you'll hear some interesting things. It'll sound like it can go somewhere, it won't go somewhere, it'll sound like it'll come back, it won't come back, and then it'll end. And you'll probably be more confused by why I'm saying anything than when I started saying something. So again, big shout out to Team and Taryn. Hope you enjoy, and the main act from me is still coming, so it should be fun.
I've chosen two selections tonight, two short pieces. One of the themes that Taryn was talking to me about with her artwork is the idea of transformation, which I know is one small part of all of the philosophy that goes into her work, but it just kind of stuck with me, and as I was thinking about different pieces I could play, I thought of the first movement of the very famous Bach E major Partita number 3 for solo violin, which is very famous. And then following that movement, which normally should be followed by 5 more movements of Bach, but following it with the first opening movement of a Sonata Versailles, who is a composer who came through just a few hundred years later, but he loved Bach very, very much, and he quoted specifically.
Tight breath control and fantastic arpeggios, I'll do my best. During my time in Louisiana, it's been fascinating and rigorous and made interesting, bearable, and more fascinating knowing artists like Taryn Muller-Nickel. I've had the pleasure of watching some of this work come to fruition over the course of the last 2 semesters, and being given the chance to respond to it through poetry or any medium at all is a real privilege. So thank you very much. And thank you all for taking the time to listen. I'm going to be reading the 3 poems here, and one piece that's a little bit older than these, but I think is my best attempt at a response to what we just heard. Can everyone hear me okay? Up a little louder, maybe. All right. The first one of these is called Post-Trauma. And again, if I need to be louder, just let me know. The invisible hands that lace tight our nerves, that hold us after the dark God bombs come, bombs that fall heavy through our upcast eyes. We call these hands the entity, and they wait for us to call them forward. The hands know that sinking below consciousness is normal, our greatest bomb shelter. They hold us still until we are ready to move on our own. They flex our stolen legs, stand before us on spread fingertips like armor. The hands, with their great green thumbs, garden our bodies with gentle rains. We erupt in flowers, the shade of new skin and the frequency of hesitant heartbeat. We learn to walk these gardens with our arms out to the rain. One socked foot slides forward. We learn to balance with our hands. These are meant to be read in no particular order, so no matter which way you've been making your way around the gallery space, it's okay. This next one's called Consolation Prize. It has a little bit of personal connection for me, but hopefully a little bit of universal connection as well. We'll see. After grandmother's chemo, her hair came back like cinnamon, how she wore it at 20 and 30. At the piano, she looked younger, back straight, fingers dancing on the black and ivory keys. Only later came the gray tank of air she needed to get through her day. She wheeled it from room to room, and it squatted by her rocking chair. In the 50s, all nurses smoked, a habit she still polished like a badge. Grandpa had traded smokes for peppermints back when. He got thinner. He brushed his teeth more often. His black hair stayed glossy, and grandmother got thinner too. They wrote letters every few weeks. They said everything was good. Their new doctor was the best they'd had in years. Grandmother's dusty voice, always bouncing, told me she stayed young because she wanted to. When she threw away her cigarettes, Grandpa brought her a jar of peppermints in cellophane wrappers. They learned slowly to empty the jar together. They brushed their teeth more often, a habit they kept polished like a badge. This next one is called OBE, which is the physiological acronym for out-of-body experience. And it opens with an epigraph. OBE, an unusual group of experiences occasionally reported by some people after awaking from general anesthesia. Australian anesthesiologist G. M. Worley. In the operating room, where we learn about cold metal and the flavors of gas, a surgeon saves his first patient from some malady. We also learn the man's family had prepared a tombstone, and collapses asleep to the table like a lung. The patient will resurface soon. He knows exactly how the surgeon's eyes flickered like lamps full of half-lit fires. He breathes not a word to anyone, but floats above his doctor's shoulder, last actor in a dark theater where the curtain holds itself up. And you've caught me in a very brave mood tonight. I'm going to attempt to recite one in response to the music we heard. It's poor recompense, but I'll do my best. This one's called Replay, and it's based off of a Latin American poem from the 19th century. When my time spins around, I will return as a record store clerk, and customers will come and ask, "Hey man, what do you recommend?" And I'll say, "Try this one." We'll put on the album I've picked and drop the needle arm down. The record will spin like the passing world. When it reaches the end, I'll flip the LP over and we'll listen again as many times as we need. Thank you.